Welcome to the Legacy Speaker Show. I am your host, Jasmine Haley, and today we have Parchelle Tashi. Now, listen, y'all. Listen, I tell you this every single time. Drop everything because this is for our author speakers, and we're so excited to have you today.
Thanks for having me, Jasmine. Let's
Absolutely.
go. Let's do it.
Let's go. Okay, then let me tell you about Parchelle. Parchelle is an award winning creative educator who partners with authors to help them repurpose and monetize their best selling books as premium and profitable online courses that create impact and additional income. So, for anyone that has a book, this is something that you all need to consider. And even if you're contemplating having a book, this is a way in which you can leverage it beyond anything that you have currently thought of. So that's why we invited Parchelle to be here on the show. So let's dive in. I kind of want to talk a little bit about how your educational methodology background has enabled you to really leverage this for authors and why you've decided to close the gap in this way.
Hmm. So I used to teach high school, and that particular age range is not, it's nobody's favorite. Like nobody says, "I want to go and teach the teenagers." um, that experience for me really taught me a lot because even when I learned to teach, most teaching programs have you, actually do student teaching where you have a teacher in the classroom with you. For whatever reason, I didn't have that. I was literally thrown into the classroom. There was no teacher. My teacher was up the hallway with her own class.
Yeah.
I was assigned this class for myself. So I had to learn a lot when it came to not only classroom management, but just how to engage, how to make it fun, how to like really get to know them and to be really intentional about bridging that gap. And so when you talk about how do I bridge that gap, that's it. We need to know who we're teaching to, what matters to them, and really tap into how we can create an experience that's really going to, help them embody what it is that they're learning in a different way. Because we all know that just like YouTube videos are for free, you can get so much information, but implementation and actually having a fun experience to implement what you want to learn, that's the key.
Yes. And most of us get into the speaking work that we do because we want to create transformation. Or we get into writing a book because we want to make a difference and we want to create transformation, make an impact. Some of us are legacy driven, like myself. So, the part though that we can't see and conceptualize is what you create. And if anyone has been following me for some time, you know that I have talked about Parchelle with the video quality. Okay. This skin is looking popping right now because of the help that she's given me. But we often don't consider how bringing on visuals, bringing educational methodology could really amplify our message further. And I kind of want to talk about why you have seen what you have seen specifically with authors when they take their written word and create it in the way that you do through courses.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefit to it in terms of what actually happens, and uh, the biggest thing is that they now have another experience to create impact for people and help to make an impact. Um, they also, in some case, have a way that they've solved a problem within their business. Maybe you're tired of one-to-ones and you're looking for another stepping stone for someone to really prepare them for the level that you want to really coach people at. Maybe it, for a lot of people, of course, creates another additional revenue stream. So as you continue to do the work of marketing, as you continue to do the work of speaking, right, this is just part of the job. You now have just another part of the journey that you've strategically put in place to ensure that your readers, your learners, the people who appreciate what you have to say, that they actually get results. And if you think about the biggest results in your own life that you've accomplished, you will always go back and associate it with where you got it, what that resource was. That will never leave you. And so, in a lot of cases as well, you're creating fans for life by creating these experiences. So, those are some of the biggest benefits I feel like are available. And because it is a digital landscape and there's so many tools, you can get really creative in how this experience is created. We use the terminology of course because that's what most of us are familiar with, or course or program. But really, it can be whatever you want. Retreats are really big right now. Maybe there's a retreat that can be created, or a workshop series that can be created, that if you document and record what it is that you do, right? Or I don't know, there's so many pieces that can come on the back end of it. So I like to think of it as like, how fiction books become all these other things, right? It becomes movies, becomes TV shows, it can become talk shows, podcasts, paraphernalia, merchandise.
Yes.
I think that the same potential, is available for how we consume information today and how we'll continue to do it for those who have something bomb to teach.
Okay. I
Yes.
really, really love that you share that. I think what we tend to minimize is that with content creation, we forget the versatility. We think there's only one strategy, but we could create one piece of content and make hundreds of things out of it.
Yeah. I'll give you an example, because we just actually did the strategy for an author. Her book is about to release, and essentially, she knew she wanted to do a program or course, but given her audience and given how they consume information, which is a younger generation who's in the corporate field or is in a career path, um, the question was, how do we make this punchy? How do we make this unique? So she actually had a journal that was going to be a component to the book, and she said, something else I want to do with it. Maybe we can do a course. And I thought, well, let's get creative. What kind of experience can we create within the journal? Right? So as people are journaling, doing the prompts, you can put a QR code and have people to then scan the QR code to maybe see you demonstrating it, or to see more of an in-depth process of what the steps are, and then kind of merge that in with a printed journal. So essentially now, instead of her having a $20 journal that's accompanied with her book, she now has $100 journal, or whatever she'll end up charging for it. Maybe I think I proposed 300, but anyway, it's between that range. She's able to do so much more and to be creative. So there's really a lot of potential, and it's still, it will feel like a course, but it doesn't have to be like, you know, boring. It doesn't have to be, you know, like you're in college or something. So we have so much creativity through media tools and, other resources that we can utilize to really create experiences and to have fun with it.
Yeah. And when we tap into methodologies or processes that you are familiar with, which is your level of expertise, or even I'm thinking for me with my own clients and the work that I do with them, when we tap into what we already have and then leverage that, that's how we get out of the rat race of entrepreneurship, where you burnt out. Like, man, I can't think of content today, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so
Yes.
many times I've taken blogs that I've written and have made a podcast episode because I'm not looking up nothing else. I'm not doing nothing else, right? I don't have the time. My family has needs. I got needs. Sometimes I just want to chill. Like yesterday, I had a relaxing day. I needed to pour into myself because we were in the middle of a launch for my own
Mm,
business. But
mm,
I love the fact that you shared that. It's like if we're looking for, and you and listeners who listen to this podcast know that I'm always talking about sustainable income. I'm always talking about being legacy driven. I'm talking about leveraging our intellectual capital. The way that we can do that is looking at alternative ways to repurpose what we already have. And that's why I think it's so powerful what you create, because you broke down, you showed me something that you created. I was like, what? I was like, wow, this is amazing to see how a book can be transformed to this visual empire. In my opinion, it's a visual empire. I mean, Parchelle's work is the bomb, but it just takes it to the next level, because what I and this, here I am getting on my soapbox, what I get extremely frustrated with is that there aren't enough BIPOC creators, there aren't enough women creators, there aren't enough underrepresented or underestimated creators out there really leveraging their IP and making serious coin. And it's because we're not having these conversations, these elevated conversations on how they can actually go out and create that legacy, not burn yourself out, not sell your soul to the devil, not give away your valuable stuff, but actually utilize it in multiple different ways that really create transformation for the people who consume it.
It's huge, and you're right, because when it comes to being smart about it, being intentional with your resources, like you said, with your money, and um, for if you're an author and you have a book that you got some help with, you spent at least four figures. At
Okay.
least four figures, if not, which is more typical now, five figures. Like I don't even know if like if you really were intentional about putting your work out there, you invested in that.
Yes.
And if you haven't made a return, or maybe you're not as satisfied with the return from the book, right? Maybe through your consulting and your speaking, you've made that money back, right? That's great. Um, but you had to use your personal time for it too. So when we talk about being smart, with our time, a digital product is a brilliant way to do that first. But then also when you compare the revenue potential from your book versus your book plus a small companion course,
Mm-hmm.
like the difference is literally like adding zero
Mm-hmm.
to what you could potentially get from your book. Plus, with your book, depending on how that's sold, if that's on Amazon or whatever, Amazon or whoever's going to get their cut, right? And then after the shipping and whatever, you're going to be left with whatever comes to you from your book. And for some people, that doesn't matter, right? Because the book is just that call to get more consulting. Um, but yeah, essentially, you have to be smart and really give foresight into what you're going to do with this. And if you have a companion course, let's say even 10% of your readers say, "Wow, I do want to go deeper."
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you're selling a $200 experience or a five or $1,000, whatever. You're talking about adding multiples to that in terms of the difference of revenue potential from a book by itself, right? And some of the consulting that can come from that. But just throw out a companion course with your consulting, with everything else. It's just gonna be a an additional revenue source for you that's gonna help you get a return
Mm-hmm.
on the investment that you put in the book and beyond.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious to know, like, with the type of clients that you work with and the ones who are authors and are looking to leverage courses, what would you say is the biggest myth that you have to bust for them?
Hmm. The biggest myth. That's a good question.
Thank you.
Well, okay. Here's what I'll say. And this is more of what I would say now going forward.
Yeah.
Um, is that you have the potential to fund your course and to fund the production of your course being produced through a number of means. And I'm actively searching them out because I find that for, as you mentioned, BIPOC women leaders and teachers that actually have amazing messaging and things of that nature, they can't necessarily afford what we want to create. And so I'm actively searching out these other ways in which the production of it can be funded. And so, or the execution of it, let's say. And
Mm-hmm.
so, there's a lot of potential there. So that's one thing I would say. I mean, it's a myth of like, oh, this is going to be a lot of hard work and a lot of money. Yes, it'll be a lot of hard work, but so is publishing a book, and that's why you didn't do it by yourself, right? You
Mm,
can't do this by yourself either. If you, in today's, you know, time when you have family, you have so many other things. Like course creation is not for the light of heart. You know what I mean? On
yeah.
how you want to do it. Often, even if you're doing it on Zoom, it's still such a effort that's put forth into to get it off the ground. So we're really helping
Mm,
to make sure that you have that support and that you're not doing the whole process by yourself.
yes.
But yeah, those are some of the things that we address, right? In terms of myth like this, I don't know if I have enough of time, and I don't know if I have enough money.
And I want to talk on that because I literally was listening to a podcast episode where the host stated afford is a construct. It actually means nothing, right? Because, and this is coming from a Black woman, okay? This is from Rachel Rogers. I'm listening to her. She shared this. And when she said that, I was like, what?
Mm.
And the reason why she state that is people often will get what they want. They will find a way to get what they want. I used to remember specifically, I was first starting off and think, okay, I think I'm gonna do this consult route, right? Charging $500. Now my program is 18K. But anyway, charging $500 and like, man, will somebody pay this or whatever? And I was getting nickel and dime because my thought was, what could somebody really be able to, right? And those same people that would nickel and dime me were buying $3,000, $5,000 purses, not from Chinatown, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
From the actual stores, and yet were devaluing my work. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to push up against that for our people who are looking to really scale their legacy. We have to make shifts from some of the money mindset traumas that we create. And I have to do that for myself. Like I'm paying a
Yes.
salary for my coaches. I'm paying
Yes.
actual somebody's salary. What I was making, I'm paying more than what I was making as a full-time faculty member for my coach.
Hmm.
That is dismantling the concept of we are all in this place where we can't. Now we got budgets, but I'm saying that, and I'm saying this specifically for our
Mm.
listeners too, to understand like how big is your legacy to you? How big is your impact? We say we want these particular recognition and things. We have to work through the mindset shifts that we need to make and understand that it's more so not that I can never get it, but how am I? How can I get it? Because we got
Mm-hmm.
this here. Nobody can take this away. What kind of VIP package could you sell?
Right.
If you're not on OnlyFans, you're doing pretty good. All right, you can figure it out.
Yeah. I love that. And it's only a reflection of your own self-worth, which
Yeah,
to increase doesn't hurt. Like it's you will appreciate it. Like I'm the same boat as you. I remember being scared and like shaking in my bones to charge $500
yes,
to make a video that was going on this major stage or whatever. Like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's and we grow in that, you know what I mean? So every level is just a way to step up. And if anybody's listening, if you're feeling that and you feel uncertain, then you should definitely do it because you
yeah.
want it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And every level up is going to require another level of support, another level of strategy. And it's not saying that we're going from 0 to 100. We're just
Hmm.
going 0 to 5 and then maybe to 10, right? We are easing our way through the process. And so I just
Hmm.
love how you broke it down. Like instead of worried about trying to do 50 or so different things, how about leverage the book that you've written and maximize that and truly fully monetize that to its full before you move on to the next project.
Or the next book, which you could do the same thing,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes. So even for my own book right now, we're working on a second edition. And I realized that I came into it not knowing what I should have known. You also, I didn't, I didn't do my research enough to really get the support I needed to maximize.
Mm.
So what am I
Mm.
going to do? I'm going to make a second edition before I write my next book. And we're going to make the changes necessary to be able to amplify it to the next level.
And just relaunch it, right?
Yes, and just relaunch it. This time I'm going to have the launch runway and all of the necessary things to take it to the next level. I'm not starting over, right? It's just, okay, we've learned our lessons. Now let's maximize this.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
Congratulations. Second edition.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Give us at
Love
least
it.
one key takeaway for listeners that they can leave with so they can get started.
I'm going to leave you with this thought. Publishing creates credibility. Products create cash. You can have both, you can do both, and people will pay for implementation. If you are, especially if you have topics in the area of health, wealth, relationships, aspects of leadership and personal development, those are topics that people are willing to pay for to actually get the result because it's hard to do by yourself. So, and a lot of things are becoming very difficult to do on our own. We need community. We need those experiences to really help us to get there and to get there faster and to get there with a very solid foundation to support you throughout what's coming up next. Right? You really find who your people are in these experiences, and so I just encourage you to just think more about what you can do. Have that heart of a teacher because it'll never steer you wrong. And yeah, those are things that I'll say. And people will pay for your help if you're going to be the one guiding them, even if it's on camera or in person. So you got to take it another step forward, and your path to profitability and more impact is within what you already created. So repurpose it, people. That's it.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Parchelle, for being on the show. I'm very grateful for you and to you for lending your expertise today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right, y'all. Listen, have you truly maximized your knowledge through your book? Do you think that you need to go back to the drawing board and think about relaunching it? Or perhaps you're ready to actually monetize it through creating digital products. I hope that you get in touch with Parchelle and you make sure that you are focused in on what your next level will be. We're going to have all of the details on how to contact Parchelle and the program that they offer. And until then, we want to encourage you that if you have found value in this topic, that you leave us a review on your podcast listening app. And of course, we appreciate you here at Legacy Scalar Consulting Firm. If you have any other further questions about the work we do, you can check us out at jasminehaley.com. Until our next episode, we'll see you then.